Sea turtles outlived the dinosaurs. Yet today, 5 of 7 species are on the endangered species list. They also take a long time to reach sexual maturity, a decade or more. So, observing them and drawing conclusions is a time-consuming and painstaking business. Sea turtles spend their whole lives at sea, except when adult females come ashore to lay eggs in the territory where they were born. The question is, how do they do it? It's thought that sea turtles find their birth beach by homing in on the chemical signature unique to where they were born, essentially tasting their way home. With these amazing abilities, that's what we call a real super sense. The case of the salmon's homing instinct is another baffler. Most salmon are born in fresh water. They migrate to the ocean, where they will spend 4 to 5 years eating and growing. At maturity, they return to breed and lay eggs in the freshwater streams they were born in. When they return to fresh water to breed, it was assumed that salmon use the scent of the water to find their home stream. And certainly, the salmon's olfactory sense is astonishing. But now, scientists are starting to question if salmon also navigate using the Earth's magnetic field. Either way, those are some super senses the salmon deploys. Another way in which scent is critical for animals is when it comes to marking their territory. Leaving a scent stamp on their territory, most animals don't waste a lot of time being subtle. The lion urinates on a tree to mark the boundaries of his kingdom and advise any other lions who come along that this tree is taken. The hippopotamus, however, scatters its feces to let intruders know who's in charge around here. This is called dung showering by those who study hippos, and something else by anyone who happens to be around. So far, the animals we've discussed who mark their territory do so in fairly standard ways, even if, like the hippo, they tend towards the alarming. But nature's endless adaptations never fail to amaze. Take the Thompson's gazelle, which is typically found on the African savanna. The male Thompson has a particularly odd way of marking its territory. When it's mating season, they establish breeding grounds by leaving their scent in an unusual manner, secreting a smelly substance from a gland below its eye. The Thompson's gazelle sticks the stuff on grass stems to ward off male interlopers and attract females. A long way from the African plains, in the woodlands of Queensland in South Australia, you'll find one of those animals that we humans like to think of as cute. The koala, of course, is not to be confused with bears of any kind, for of course, this is a marsupial, whose closest relative is the wombat. This photogenic Aussie sleeps up to 20 hours a day and has one of the lowest brain-to-body ratios of any marsupial. If you come across one in the wild, urinating on a tree, you would see it marking its territory, particularly if it was a male, like this cheeky fellow. But the male koala senses territory in other ways too. You can distinguish the fully developed adult male koala by its quite visible chest cavity in the middle of its chest. It's actually a scent gland. And it's the scent gland on his chest that the adult male koala uses to mark his territory. Rubbing its chest against branches and twigs, usually at the bottom of a tree, produces an unusual reaction. This interesting activity triggers a particular sensation within the male koala, or buck. This sensation is accompanied by the secreting of a scented fluid that is exceptionally attractive to female koalas. When this is done, not only has the male koala marked his territory as a breeding ground, he's probably already in the mood for love. The bolus spider, also known as the angling spider, uses sex pheromones to ensnare its prey. It's known as aggressive mimicry, where a predator copies something from their prey in order to confuse or entice it. The bolus spider emits a pheromone indistinguishable from the female moth and lures male moths to their doom. It's a key weapon in a bolus spider's arsenal, as this is one spider that doesn't catch its victims in the usual web. Instead, they hunt using a sticky capture blob at the end of a line, which they swing at male moths, drenched, of course, in false scent. Now for the final segments of the program, to look at some genuine super sense sniffers. Let's begin with those lords of the forest, the wolf. A wolf's sense of smell is estimated to be 100 times stronger than humans. They use it to locate other members of the pack, their enemies, and of course, their prey. Scent will tell them if other wolves have been in the area, how many there were, male or female, and how recently. The wolf has several specialized scent glands on its body, including its back and about 3 inches from its tail. The scent it produces from these glands is as distinctive as fingerprints are to a forensic crime lab. Each and every wolf's is different. Wolves mark boundaries and trails using the smell from these highly individual scent glands. You might say their own personal calling cards. These trails and boundaries, or scent stations, can be up to 100 meters apart. Mankind has benefited from observing this behavior. As dogs have a scent ability close to that of wolves, training techniques have evolved which imitate the wolf in the wild. You can see this in search and rescue dogs, as well as police and drug detection. Second of the super scent sniffers, one of the greatest noses on Earth, belongs to the mighty bear. For some reason it's gotten about that bears have poor eyesight. That's simply not true, but they rely on scent and smell even more. Their acute sense of smell helps them to track down food. For example, bears can detect a dead animal from 35 kilometers away. Smell helps bears to find mates, keep a track on rival bears, and mothers to keep track of their cubs. Bears communicate with one another using scent. By leaving scent on trees and vegetation, they broadcast a message to other bears that may be in the neighborhood. Even though a bear's brain is about the third of the size of a human's, the area of its brain, which manages smell, is at least 5 times larger than ours. But it's not all that cerebral. Far from it. The bear's nose is quite a remarkable device. Around 9 inches long for one thing. It really is all the better to smell you with. Their noses contain hundreds of miniature muscles which they can manipulate with the same ease as we might move our fingers. The surface area inside their noses is also vast by human standards and contains hundreds of receptors. And they have that Jacobson's organ in the roof of their mouth to round out this sensory arsenal. But what about the age-old question? Can a bear smell your fear? The answer is yes and no. A bear can smell if you break into a cold sweat, but it doesn't register this as fear per se. So it's truer to say they can sense fear rather than smell it. On Animal Super Senses, we touch it and feel it, see it and hear it, taste it and smell it, like animals do. The senses are the star on this show, and this episode has been no exception. Taste and scent are as vital in the wild as they are in the world we've made for ourselves. Maybe even more so. But these incredible powers of perception will fight again another day. So join us next time on Animal Super Senses.